Right now, rising into the Dubai skyline is a $1 billion hyper tower. When finished, it will stand 341 meters tall, casting its shadow over a city already defined by massive architectural flexes. It features 65 stories of extreme luxury. The base apartments start at $2.3 million, while the penthouses ask over $20 million. And if you look closely at the elliptical exterior, the architecture is specifically engineered to mimic the flowing lines of a Mercedes-Benz concept car. This map shows over 700 branded luxury residences either finished or under construction worldwide. By 2027, that number is expected to double, dumping another 100,000 hyper-expensive apartments onto the market. Engineering a luxury sedan or running a boutique fashion house requires an entirely different set of skills, logistics, and supply chains than mixing concrete for a high-rise. So why are legacy product manufacturers suddenly rushing to pour billions into a highly complex, hyper-competitive property market? This project represents a calculated financial maneuver designed to insulate corporate profits from the volatility and risks of the automotive industry. In places like Miami and Dubai, the ultra-luxury real estate market is heavily saturated. Offering standard perks like high-end glass, private pools, and marble counters is no longer enough to convince a billionaire to buy your specific property over the one next door. This chart compares the sales prices of standard luxury apartments against those carrying a luxury logo. By licensing a trusted legacy brand, developers can charge an average premium of 37%. They stop selling physical square footage and start selling pure status. That is just the average. When Bulgari put their name on a building, the developer sold those apartments for 3 times the price of identical, unbranded units right down the street. For property developers, slapping a famous logo onto the facade is the single most efficient financial instrument to inflate profit margins. They don't have to invent a better building, they just rent a better reputation. But that only explains half the equation. To understand why a highly profitable car company needs real estate, you have to look at the vulnerabilities currently threatening their core product. Looking at this dual line graph, you can see Mercedes' steady overall corporate profits running right alongside a sharply volatile line. They have struggled to capture their target share of the EV market, battered by severe supply chain bottlenecks and industry-wide inflation. Engineering, sourcing, and physically assembling a new electric vehicle requires massive overhead, intense physical labor, and enormous logistical risk. Licensing your logo to a skyscraper requires none of that. The financial returns on these licensing deals are massive. When Porsche built their design tower in Miami back in 2016, the brand walked away with nearly $300 million in profit. Real estate acts as a perfect corporate hedge. It allows these legacy brands to cash in on decades of accrued prestige, generating hundreds of millions in high-margin profit without ever having to manufacture a single physical product. While the corporate balance sheets at the top of these towers are sanitized and risk-free, the physical reality at the foundation is a different story. The only way property developers can achieve those massive profit margins is by ruthlessly slashing labor costs at the bottom. In Dubai, this is legally enforced through the kafala system. Under this system, migrant workers have their visas tied directly to their employers. Employers routinely leverage this power imbalance by confiscating their passports, trapping them in the country, and paying them as little as $4 for a 12-hour shift. The physical environment itself is deeply hazardous. Despite laws meant to protect workers during the hottest parts of the day, there are documented cases of laborers being forced to continue construction while temperatures exceed 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Mercedes-Benz publicly claims to systematically monitor their supply chains for human rights abuses, yet they are perfectly willing to collect licensing fees from a Dubai construction sector built entirely around an exploitative labor model. This willingness to profit from extreme labor conditions has happened before. During the 1940s, nearly half of the company's workforce consisted of enslaved concentration camp detainees and prisoners of war, allowing business leaders to profit from the Nazi regime's brutality. By entering Dubai's construction market, Mercedes aligns its brand with a labor environment where exploitation is a documented feature of the industry's high profit margins. The branded skyscraper functions as a tool for extraction, engineered to capture massive premiums from the ultra-wealthy, while the human cost is obscured beneath the foundation.